Good morning, everybody. All the devotees, those who are present here, and all those who have joined online with me. I welcome you all for this today's presentation on the ascent of yoga. This is the third part we are going through. So we have covered the first two parts on 16th, 17th, which was talking about the first book. So today we are going to talk mainly on the second book, that is the Ascent of Consciousness, and will this will be a interesting and exciting journey for all of you. So we'll just have a little recap so that those who are joining today will get it. So first book actually covers the basic of the integral yoga. It talks about the traditional yoga concepts and then how the science is useful for the understanding of the spiritual concept. After that, I have presented my new perspective that how to understand the consciousness and the writings of Sri Aurobindo in these books. With this perspective, we are good to go with of our understanding of our explorations, and that is what I presented in both the books, which first part we have covered, and second part we are going to cover today. The first book talks about the different planes of consciousness, then supermind, and then different gradations between the mind and supermind, and also the secret of manifestation. Today's session, we are going to cover the ontology of integral yoga in brief, and after that, we will take a look at the subtle words, the psychic being, and then we'll see the sunlit path what Sri Aurobindo has presented in its integral yoga, and then followed by that, the meaning of the different aspect of that path, different methodologies what he has presented, we'll try to understand and analyze. Then we will take a look at the sense of mind and the sense of supermind, how the mind and supermind both work differently to give us the awareness. Then we'll have a look at transformation and then the sense of the consciousness which has happened after the manifestation. So what Sri Aurobindo has put from Taittiriya Upanishad is written here. He who knows Brahman, which is cause, not effect, which is conscious, which is without end, as hidden in the depth of the heart, in the highest ether, he enjoys all blessings at one with the omniscient Brahman. So in these statements, he is summarized a lot of things. If you take a look at the wordings, so what he is telling is that it's the Brahman who is a conscious, he is unlimited without any end, and the same Brahman is hidden inside the depth of our heart in the form of the psychic being. The Brahman is form of the highest ether. Similarly, the psychic being also is form of that ether. And he is the one who enjoys when he is one with the conscious Brahman. So Sri Aurobindo presented his complete concept of this universe and the incarnation or the manifestation, that what is it all about. We have seen it briefly when we have gone through in the last presentations about the different planes of consciousness and then how the manifestation happened. So we have the Brahman, which is the absolute supreme reality. It is the one without the second, and all this, everything is a Brahman only. It is the manifestation of Brahman which came down, and then we see the entire world around us. Then we have the Satchidananda, the plane below the Brahman, which is the dynamic consciousness. This is the static consciousness of the Brahman, that is Satchidananda, which is not taking part into the manifestation. And below that lies the supermind, which is the dynamic part. So this dynamic part is the one which is the creation of the world, and it is the one which has created this entire below layers of consciousness and the world and everything in this world. Below supermind, what we find the multiple grades between supermind and mind. We have the overmind, we have the intuitive mind, we have the illumined mind, and we have the higher mind. So these are the gradations of the consciousness. So when one is transcending from mind and going above, he has to go through all these layers and then finally reach the supermind, connect with that and get down it for the transformation. So mind is the layer which we currently are into. That is, we all are the mental beings, and it is the stage. It is the consciousness which is ignorant consciousness. This mind has first appeared in the animal kingdom, and then it appears in the human being. So many of the animals you find this mind aspect appearing, like we have seen that the chimpanzees or the element or the animals which are close to us, maybe dogs or elephants or so they are also having the mind aspect. But Sri Aurobindo described that mind is not the only consciousness, and there are many layers as we see. And this mind is only capable of acquiring the limited knowledge because of the ignorance is the nature of this mind. So if mind is able to get the input from the senses, our physical senses, and also the subtle senses, and then it is able to analyze. But it is not knowing the entire truth because it is ignorant in nature. So next layers are life. The matter is the form of the world life. So what Sri says that as we have seen that the Brahman has gone down till the inconscient, and at every level it is involved. And when it comes in the form of evolutions, we get the different layers unfolded. So matter is actually evolved from the world life. And from the life has evolved the mind. And from mind, what we are going to see is the next evolution, that is the super mind. So, in short, the creator is eternal, infinite, and omnipresent reality, and he has created this universe. He has created the universe for the delight, for the joy of self discovery after self concealing. So, it is the Brahman, this omnipresent reality, who has concealed himself in the inconscient or the matter, and then he is enjoying it, the self discovery of himself. So this is how the involution took place from highest layer of Brahman, which is the Satchitananda part. As it comes down to the supermind, we have the Chit Shakti, awareness and will. This further gets separated into Purusha and Prakriti at the overmind level. And below that, we found the different layers of consciousness. And for each layer, we have the force and we have the Purusha associated with. Right? Like mind has got the mental Purusha, the life vital has got the vital, then physical Purusha is there. For the psychic or the super mind, we have the psychic Purusha inside it, which is a part of it, but there is no plane established right now. So this is going to happen as the next evolution. So supermind is the one which creates the planes of time and space. So what we see is that time or space in today's material world is the creation of the supermind only. So it has created this time and space as the subject, where the time is the subject to extension of consciousness and the space is the object to extension of the consciousness. Now we will take a quick look at the subtle words. What are the different subtle words Sri Aurobindo has explained in his integral yoga? So this is the beautiful explanation of our psychic being or the soul, which he has put into Savitri. Once in the immortal boundlessness of self, in a vast of truth and consciousness and light, the soul looked out from its felicity. So soul looked outside from his place, the vast truth and consciousness. It felt the spirit's interminable bliss. It felt the bliss of the spirit, that is the supreme consciousness. And it also knew that he himself is a deathless, timeless, and spaceless, one with the eternal. So this is how Sri Aurobindo described psychic being, and we will see how it is related to all these subtle words that what we are going to see now. So what are the subtle words that Aurobindo explained into integral yoga? So what he says that we are just into material world, but that is not the only universe what we have or what we are aware of. There are the higher words, there are the subtle words associated with the different planes of consciousness, and he defines that what is this, what are the subtle words itself. So subtle word. It is the energy formation. So the word is the energy formation or the formation of the consciousness with its own laws of physics and different order of time and space. So here he has summarized the complete thing actually. So it is the energy formation, it is the formation or constellation of the consciousness. It has got its own laws of physics and it has got the different order of time and space. So these are the specifications or the features of these different worlds. So what we see around us, the material world has got different time and space. The higher worlds or the subtle worlds will also have their own different time and space. How we are connected with this world? Normally, in our waking state or in our normal consciousness, we are not connected with this. We are only aware about our material or the physical, but with the special chakras which are residing inside our body, we can connect with the higher worlds or the different worlds. And with through the psychic being, once it comes forward, we are able to connect with the higher psychic world as well as the supermind and then the Brahman consciousness. Now, these words and the things in them, they are invisible to our physical consciousness. We have the physical consciousness which is created by our physical senses, but we are not aware about them. And these words are invisible to us, or the beings of these words are invisible to us. If, but if we are connected with our inner beings, our inner consciousness, and our chakras are open, then we will be able to connect with those words or get into those words. However, for the beings of those words, they know each other or they can see themselves or each other. So in short, these words are not in our dimension, but they are in the higher dimension or different dimensions. So this is how the complete spectrum of these different words and how the planes of consciousness are associated with that. So we have seen these all the chakras and then the associated planes of consciousness. So corresponding to each plane of consciousness, there is a different words associated with. So there is a word of Sachitananda, there is a word of supramental word associated with supermind. Then there we have the overmental word associated with the overmind. Then we have the psychic word, the higher words, other higher words, and then we have the mental words. So when our Sahasrara chakra, the topmost is open, then we are able to connect with the higher word. Whereas when our the chakra below that, we are connected with the mental word or the lower vital words. So this is how we are connected, and we can get it connected provided we open our inner beings. So this is about the beings of the subtle worlds and the beings of the material world as we know. So all human beings, we are the beings of the material world, having the body, life, mind and soul. As the soul evolves, it detaches itself from the mind and other parts and reaches to the divine self, which is called the liberation of the soul. So once we get liberated, then we are able to connect with these higher worlds. The beings of the higher words, as we see that these words are not a single region, but they are the different gradations of region. They are different gradations of the consciousness. They are mixed up with each other, and they have the different either or different material itself of which they are made up of. And the beings of these words are also made up of that material only. Like we human beings are made up of the material of this material world. Same way, the higher beings or the subtle beings of that world are made up of that material only, or that either. So this is the brief about this discussion about these subtle words like the word of Satchitananda, which is also called as the Satyaloka, Tapuloka, and the Gyanloka in the Vedantic terminology. And this is the one which is the word of Brahman, where he resides. Like we would have read that in Puranas that Brahma stays in the Satyaloka. Then we have the supramental word, the word which is the made up of, it is a divine aspect of the divine. It is a dynamic aspect of the divine, which is the truth consciousness. This is also known as the Maharmut or Vigyan word. And it is since supermind is the truth consciousness, this is the word of the this is the word made up of the truth consciousness. And once we connect with that, then we are able to transform ourselves because we have all the knowledge and the power of that word. Then we have the overmental word, which is the overmind is the abode of God or the cosmic power which are ruling this material world so far. And this overmental word is the word of that those gods which are staying there, and occasionally they are coming and taking the birth, which we call as avatar. Then we have the mental word. The mental word is made up of the different thoughts which we generate or which we think about, and then this thought also travels outside us. And so, in the mental world, it is the world of the thoughts, ideas, notions, and all movements of the mind which are self-existent. The mental world also has got the multiple layers, like it has got the, as we have know, that higher mind or human mind, intermediate mind, or physical material. So, all these things are there, a part of the mental world. Then we do have the psychic world. This psychic world is the place which is the resting place for our soul. That when the soul is departed, then it goes above and rests there. Get after that resting period, it can come back again to take the birth, next birth. So this psychic world is the protected, or it is under the divine control, and then it is through from there the souls get connected with the divine also, and then it is gets its own power and replenished. It is not influenced by because it is a divine under the divine control. It is not affected by any other undivine forces. In the lower hemisphere, as we see, we have seen the higher hemisphere. Now in the lower hemisphere, we have the vital word. This vital word is associated with the vital planes, and we have the higher vital word, which is in this word there are the beings of the vital proper, the beings of the those are the beings of the great power and even great beauty, and they are the biggest imposters and the dangerous at that. That is what Sri Aurobindo describes about the higher words in his integral yoga. Then we have the lower mental words, which is the word of all the desires, impulses, passion, greed. So these all makes these lower vital words. And we get attracted to this because of our lust, desires, passion, and ambitions. And there are dark forces, and they are obstacles to the divine or the progress of the divine in this manifestation. So we have to keep away all those things, and we have to only tune to the divine vibrations so that we can get progress. We are aware about this a little bit as we have heard in various Puranic stories that there are asuras or the Rakshasas and the Pishachas. Okay, so asuras are the beings of the materialized vital, Rakshasas being of the middle vital, and the Pishachas being of the lower vitals, which are all their existence. And if we are open to that level, then they can get a entry and they can attack people. Now, where are these all words located? Because we do not see all of them. We see only our material world side of it. So, as we know, our physical world, we know by there are physical dimensions with the help of which, like we know, there are three dimensions, and this XY coordinates we can locate. It is a two dimension. Then in the third dimension, we have the height or depth. So we can visualize the cubical type of so this word is actually a three-dimensional word, okay, and then we can see that. We also know time as the fourth dimension now, and the concept of this fourth dimension I got to know about yesterday only. I gone through Sri Ajit sir's uh, video on this as a fourth dimension, and it was very, very interesting and clear that like he has given the example of that if you want to go somewhere, like your Google map will tell you that where to go, okay, but once you reach there, you find that there is a multi-storied building and you cannot find the location. So there comes the third dimension where that you have to go to say 10th floor. But there also you are not able to meet your objective or meet the friend of you because you do not know the time when he has to meet or you have to meet. So that is why all these four dimensions are existing, and with the help of these four dimensions, we get to know about the subtle words. We get to know about our material world, and that's how we work in this world. Now, about the location of the subtle word, we have seen that all these words are located one above the other as a layered, and these are form of the different, either they are form of the different material, they have the different timelines with them, and that is why we lies at the bottom layer of this, where the galaxies and solar systems you can see. So here is our presence, and above us we have all these multiple words actually, which are all subtle words. So we do not have the access to them because we do not have the access to the higher dimensions, and we are only aware about our four dimensions. So these subtle words in short are in different dimensions, and that is why we are not able to see them. However, we have the means to within us. So those are the chakras. So once they are open, we get connected to those places, and then we can then get access or knowledge about these words. How one more interesting thing, the beings of these higher worlds can see all of us, and they can see the all four dimensions in time also. So last time we had this question that why or is it possible to go back into the timeline, and then this is the answer. For example, Krishna, who is a overmental god, who has explained in Gita that I know my birth as well as I know all your births and the entire thing. So because he is able to see, because he is residing at the he is residing at this over mental level at that time, okay, and then that is how he is able to see all the entire thing at one go at the time span. Now we will move on to the next part, that is the psychic being. And this is the important because this is the one which is the key for this yoga. And this psychic being is nothing but our evolving soul, which is a portion of the divine. It is a portion of the dynamic aspect, as I understand. That is, it is coming from the supermind because it is able to receive these signals from the supermind once it is evolved. So Shivam described that it is the spark of the divine, which is directly coming from the divine behind our heart, and we have to connect with that through our sadhana or meditation, and then once it comes forward, we are able to connect with the higher consciousness, that is supermind, and with that we can receive the light and force from the supermind. So in short, this psychic being is the key for this integral sadhana, and it is a part of this truth consciousness. And as it comes forward, it can receive the higher forces, it can receive the light from the supermind, and then it can start influencing the other chakras and the associated other planes of consciousness. That is how the transformation of mind, body, vital can happen. So that is why Integral Yoga reveals that the first requirement in this yoga is to become conscious of the psychic being, so that the process of transformation can be pressed into one line or even in a few years. So that is the key of this entire yoga, that you have to first get to know about your psychic being, connect with that, and then through that you can do all this transformation of your entire body mind life. So we have two parts within us. Those are belonging to this higher consciousness. That is, one is the, we know that true being, that is the supreme divine. Then we have the self, which is above our mind, and it is also called Atman or Jivatman in Vedantic way. We have the psychic being, the soul. It is known as soul or Antaratma, or Sri Aurobindo called it as the Chitta Purusha, which is there within our heart, behind the heart. So the psychic being is the soul in evolution, where Atman is a self, is above the evolution. So this part, since it comes from the supreme divine, it is not going for any transformation or any changes. Whereas the psychic being is the only one which goes changes or transform life after life. And this is actually there, but it is standing behind for the real, for the manifestation and for the evolution. So when we realize both, then actually the transformation can happen. So the sadhana is for connecting with the psychic being, and then after that discovering the self or this Atman, and then through these two sources we can realize the transformation. So opening of the psychic being is the crucial part. So what we need to do is the focus on the our inside, that is behind the heart. Okay, put all your concentration on it, and with that force of concentration and the other divine aspects like love, compassion, kindness, bhakti, or ananda, this psychic being can come forward. It can grow by absorbing this by absorbing these vibrations, and then it can become sufficiently grown so that it can influence on the outer part. So there are two aspects, or there are two ways to realize this higher consciousness. One is the Atman, which is above Atman or psychic being, which is Atman is there above us, whereas psychic being inside us, and then we can focus our concentration on the Atman, that is the self, or we can focus our concentration on the behind the heart. If we focus our concentration on the self, then we get the realization of the higher Brahman, and there are chances that you can get lost in that, get merged with that. That is what is called the moksha. But if you focus on the psychic being, then psychic being evolves with the by absorbing the consciousness of the supermind, and then it can grow itself and become the ready for the transformation. So the aim of this yoga is a transformation. That is why first requirement is the opening of the psychic being and then connecting with the self so that the things can be achieved. So all these things, what we have seen, that is the growth of the psychic being. So you consider all these things in terms of the vibrations. It is not just the words actually. That is how it grows. So psychic being itself is the kind of vibration of that higher supermind plane, and then it can absorb this other vibration. It because they are in sync with that, they are in line with that, and with that it can grow. So that is how when you are saying that the psychic being grows is happening. So there are explorations I put in the, so we will go ahead actually. So we will not go through all the details because all are covered in the books. But Sri Aurobindo has written a lot about the psychic being, and all that is been explored in this and explored in the simple way, how we can understand it, and also with the new perspective that how it is relevant, the scientific way of analogy of understanding that. This is the difference between the divine Atman, soul, and the psychic being. So divine is Satchidananda as we have seen, then Atman is a small portion of that same divine, which is the self, which is above our head, whereas the soul is a part of the divine, which is coming from the dynamic aspect of the divine, and then it takes part the evolution and becomes the psychic being. So that is how we can differentiate and understand the whole thing. So with the new perspective, we can consider this as that divine is a very, very, very high powerful source of energy. This is the energy. Sri Aurobindo also says that it is the energy. Consciousness is the energy. Okay. So Atman is a small portion of it, like a small transmitter, you can say, or receiver, you can say. And psychic being also another small receiver of the higher consciousness of the supermind. And they are able to grow themselves by absorbing the similar consciousness vibration, and then only psychic being will grow, Atman will remain same. And then when they are connected to, then they can receive these forces in a bigger way or larger way, so that those can act on your mind, body, vital, because you become the channel, and through that they can act on the surrounding material so that that can be transformed. Now we will see what is the secret of psychic being as explained by Sri Krishna in Gita. So if you look at the, we have all heard about this, what Sri Krishna said in the verse 23 in the chapter 2. He says that the Nainam Chittanti Shastrani Nainam Dhati Paravaha Na Chainam Plete Na Shashurati Maruta. So all this, the meaning of this, he has mentioned that the soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moisturized by water, not withered by the wind. So this is the beauty of the soul. Now, we can understand this by using the concept of integral yoga and our new understanding, our new perspective. That since this psychic being or the soul is a part of that divine consciousness, which is a super mind, it is coming from that, traveling from life to life and evolving. And since it is in that dimension, we are not able to destroy it, cut it, or not able to obstruct it using our normal weapons or our normal material world, material things, because it is belonging to the higher dimension of the vibrations. So that is the that is how we can understand and explain that meaning of this verse. So as I told you, this psychic being grows with the vibrations of the love, compassion, and it grows from the small, like Sri explained that it is in the it is of the size of the your thumb, little thumb, and then it grows as we go ahead in the sadhana with the different methodology what he has told, and with that we can it can get sufficiently evolved to connect further. So the psychic being grows with the vibrations of love, compassion, kindness, bhakti, ananda, gratitude, faith. So all these are the divine characteristic, divine vibrations. These vibrations, you consider that they are the vibrations of that nature or that level. And your psychic being is also belongs to the same similar consciousness of supermind, which is also the higher consciousness. Now, as we know that when the two signals come together, if they are in sync, if they are in phase, they can grow together. Like you would have seen that in the physics or the communication technology, then the signals combined when they are of the same phase, okay, and where of the same frequency, you will get the higher amplitude. So that is how it happens. So your psychic being is also like that, which is a part of the supermind consciousness. And by absorbing these similar vibrations, it can grow. So we'll move on to the yoga of transformation. What is all about? Sri Aurobindo is talking about that. What is meant by this? What is the meaning of this transformation? So this is the summarized statement that transformation makes all as only soul and the body of this supreme consciousness. So what is the goal? The transformation is the goal, and we have to become one like the supreme consciousness or the supreme being. So we have to become the body and soul of that. So, Sri Aurobindo says that transformation is in this yoga is the change of consciousness, a radical and a complete shift of consciousness. So what is required is that you have to shift your consciousness from the material level, mental consciousness or your body vital consciousness to the higher consciousness. So it is the shift of that consciousness has to happen. Now again, you have to relate it with the shifting of the consciousness means is what is going to happen. So it is a shifting means again you are transforming your lower frequency or lower vibrations of the consciousness into the higher vibrations of the consciousness. So this is going to happen like it happens in your communication technology where the modulation happens and your lower audio signal is converted into higher carrier modulated wave and then it is transmitted. So this is the same way it is going to happen, that the transformation can get affected by absorbing these things by the impact of the higher consciousness, by the pressure of the higher consciousness. It is going to impact on the lower consciousness, and through that it is going to transform that or convert that. So that is what is the transformation. So for transformation, what is required is the right inner attitude, the will to transform, and then vigilance to perceive and reject all that belongs to the lower nature or the ego and the tamasic persistence of the lower nature. So this is what is required. So reject all the lower vibrations, absorb only the higher vibrations, keep your attitude, right, inner attitude, and then you should have the strong will, because that is the force which is going to align you with the higher consciousness so that it can grow and it can become the one with that. Now, what are the different transformations Sri Aurobindo is talking about? Here we know that we have the mind, and from mind we have to go to super mind. So, but this transformation is not direct transformation. There are multiple levels we have to go, and these are the different levels of the between the mind and super mind, like higher mind, illumine mind, intuitive mind, or over mind. And the transformation at each stage has to happen. So each stage is at the higher level, and each stage has to infuse with your lower mind, and then it has to transform that, it has to shift that level. So that is how it happens actually. So here he has explained the key. The transformation of the mind to these levels needs to take place by the descent and infusion of these ranges into the mind. So he has explained that how it is to happen, that descent and infusion of these higher consciousness, higher vibrations into your mind consciousness, so that it will get slowly upgraded to that consciousness. So mind will first transform into, say, illumined mind, then intuitive mind, then this will get transformed into the over mental conversion, that is over mind, and then from there it can go to the last conversion, which is the supramental conversion as the super mind. So this is how it is going to happen. And this is how it works actually. After doing all these things, after your mind has become the one with the higher consciousness has got the access to directly through your psychic being on the lower consciousness, and then the transformation of the your lower consciousness, that is the higher vital or the subtle vital, can happen. So we have the all these vital level vibrations which need to be transformed actually, and which need to be rejected because these are all lower. And these vibrations are actually harmful, or which are opposing the divine consciousness or the higher consciousness. See, all this is again at the level of the consciousness or the vibrations only. So whatever we are seeing as these different emotions, these are all vibrations actually, but they are contrary to the divine, and that's how they are affecting our progress. So you have to discard all that thing and then transform the higher vital. And it is possible through the impact of the higher consciousness because it has got the power to do that. Same way, we have to transform our lower vital things, like we have the different lower vital vibrations like desires, impulses, passion, greed, violence, cunning, ignorance. So all these are the lower vital things which we have to reject, and we have to expose it to the for the transformation. With the impact of the higher consciousness, this can get transformed. This can also get uplifted, and they become one with the higher consciousness. So that is what is the transformation of the lower vital. And then lastly, we have the physical transformation also. So physical is the most dumb part in our entire body. So it has got the inertia, tamas, stupidity, narrowness, or the limitations, and that is, it has to transform. And it has can be transformed once we are sufficiently evolved after the mind and the vital transformation. So Sri Aurobindo has beautifully explained all these things as a triple transformation, that how the triple transformation happens in within our so we can see it pictorially, that we have the various levels of consciousness, various planes of consciousness, and we once we are progressing in our sadhana, there is a psychic transformation where the psychic being is getting in front, or we are able to connect with that, and through that psychic transformation, and then we have to realize ourself parallelly. And once these two are things, when these two things are done, then the psychic comes forward and the spiritual transformation happens with the light from the supermind. So this supermind force can come down because now you are ready to absorb that. Now you are ready to become a channel for that. So supermind force, light, and Anand can come down. So supermind is connected with your psychic being, whereas the self is connected with your divine consciousness. And with this help of these two, we can transform our lower vital or the physical, and then there can be a entire supramental transformation and the divine line being established here. So this is how the triple transformation explained by Sri Aurobindo. So after this, there are explorations I have booked actually. So this there is a separate chapter that how what are the explorations, so that how we can relate these statements of Sri Aurobindo in this in various statement he has given in Letters of Yoga, explaining these to disciples and the other literature. So all that is explained, especially related to the transformation, that what is the meaning of that and how that. So, but this is all what I just now explained you. So here, for example, Sri Aurobindo explains the conditions necessary for the transformation. So what he says that one need to get the force and light of the higher consciousness open the psychic being open the other mind and body centers. So body centers, mind and body center is talking about chakras to psychic being and higher consciousness, and then open and receive the supramental consciousness. So this is how he has explained very clearly in his statements actually. Okay. So that is what we can, the exploration gives you the whole idea about what is there inside this integral yoga writings. So this, with the help of the new perspective, we can analyze this this how the transformation can happen actually with the help of the higher consciousness. So as there is a progress in the transformation, the higher consciousness invades all the centers from the top to bottom. So it is going to attack all the centers. Now consider this all the centers as the receiver, small receiver, and these receivers are being attacked by the higher power. So you know, you would have heard the things like a jamming, like if you do not want to receive the mobile signal, there are jammer placed by the police guys. So it is nothing but the high power transmitter which is going to impact your receiver mobile, and then you are not able to get the mobile communication because of that. So same thing happens. Okay, so the only thing is that this higher consciousness impact the lower consciousness, the centers of that, and then it is able to control all these things and transform all these things. So another important thing is silence of mind. It creates a condition for receiving this higher consciousness. So as we see in the receiver, that unless and until there is a silence, or unless it is to be suppress all the unwanted noise and vibrations, we cannot receive the weak signal. So same way here happens, the silence of mind creates that condition to receive it. And then higher centers, when tuned to this, tuned to the forces, tuned to those consciousness levels, then it can receive the forces and will of that consciousness. And ultimately, when the psychic being is open, which is the part of the supermind dynamic consciousness, it can receive that and it can control the those planes of consciousness through our chakras. Now, what is the sunlit path? Sri Aurobindo explained to achieve all these things. That is what is summarized in this chapter. So Sri Aurobindo did the sadhana in his lifespan and opened the possibility of the divine life by bringing down the supernatural force and establish it in the earth atmosphere. So this is what is his achievement. He did everything, all sadhana, by studying the different traditional practices, and then he realized that how it has to be done. So he has given his different path actually, this which will be a much safer and the sure short path for the this transformation. And it is possible to do for everybody in the same lifespan like what he has achieved. Only thing, we have to follow the path dedicatedly and with by opening to the higher consciousness. So this is the in short, in summarized way of putting that what is the sunlit path. So these are the methodologies what he has given, that is a concentration, rejection, aspiration, and surrender. So these are the methodologies he has given. Then he also told about the consecration, that putting all your consciousness to that purpose, and then the faith, which has to be there so that it can happen, and ultimately are the divine grace, which act in a much different way, but that is also another way of opening to the higher consciousness for the transformation. So this is the different methodologies and the path and the ways what he has explained in the integral yoga. So this is about the concentration, that opening of this psychic being is the first step, which is possible with the help of our psychic being. When you put the concentration, that you have to go inside, you have to go within, practice the concentration, focus everything, put all your energies there only, and that's how it comes forward, and you are able to listen to that feeble voice of or the feeble signal of psychic being, and then it grows slowly with the when the outer movements of your nature also changes because with the help of the divine routine, and then it grows and then it can get there. So concentration is the stage which is useful for that, and that is why it is telling us first as the concentration. So concentration quietens the surface mind and helps to live within and achieve this thing. So there are two ways to put your concentration, as we discussed. That one is on the psychic being, which is in the heart, so that we can connect with this dynamic consciousness, or above the head, which is connecting with the self, and through that to the Atman. Both are required. First priority is given on the psychic being, and second to the self, so that then, or it is the that first we have to open the psychic being and then connect with the self, so that then it will happen. It will go in the way of transformation. The rejection, this is another powerful technique. He has explained or told that we have to reject, we have to stand back, detaching from all the external movement of the mind, life, and physical being. As we see that there are so many of outside vibrations which are getting inside our mind and which are disrupting and affecting our consciousness and peace of mind. So all that need to be rejected. So slowly we have to practice it. We have to observe that these thoughts coming or these vibrations coming and reject it and stop it there only. And slowly, as you become practice, then you can achieve that, and then it can help you as a full way. So concentration, rejection, both can work together, and finally fuse into one. This is important thing, escalation, because we have to aspire, we have to ask the divine, we have to call him. There has to be yearning and prayer that I want this, I want to be one with this, I want to grow with within your consciousness for the truth, for the peace, ananda, knowledge, and descent of the divine force. So this is what we need to aspire, so that with that aspiration, with that thought, remember your mind or your thought are powerful, which can reach, and they are in sync with the divine consciousness, so that then it can listen by the divine, so that and he can give the answer by getting his force, pouring his force. The surrender is also very important and crucial for the progress of the sadhana. So she will give the in- very much importance to surrender, that you have to surrender yourself to the divine. You have to surrender to the supreme, and you have to leave aside all your wants or the desires and everything, and you have to be one with the all other three are also part of this. Along with that, you have to keep the approach of surrender, and then that with the surrender, the calm and peace comes along with the knowledge, strength, and ananda. So this is how he has explained that how this surrender is important. This is another important thing what he has said, that open to the divine. Always he is saying that open to the divine, open to the mother, which is also a key to the sadhana. Both the things are actually, we can correlate with that. Opening means what? So opening means we know that mother belongs to this dynamic Shakti and that vibrations, whereas the supreme divine is on the higher consciousness self. Opening to that means you have to open yourself to receive that consciousness. You have to align yourself to receive that consciousness. You have to be ready to receive that consciousness. So that is what is the meaning of this opening, and that's what Sri Aurobindo is talking about. That open to that consciousness, open to mother, open to that consciousness, open to the divine, open to that higher consciousness. So the other ends, as we see, the faith is an important thing, that we have to have the faith. We have to have the trust, and we should believe in divine that it is going to happen. So this is very important. Then another is the consecration, which is the consecration is the process by which one trains the consciousness to give itself to the divine. So this is the process of training the consciousness for giving to the divine. So this is important. The faith is important because it is a certitude. Then grace is the one which is actually above all these things, and it acts in its own way or own law. So that is what we say, that it's a divine grace that has happened. Okay, and we got uplifted because of that. So the divine grace is something can happen to anybody anytime mysteriously. There is no control of it over it, and you cannot. It is much beyond, it is beyond all the vibrations. So grace also we can consider as the sort of the higher divine consciousness which is coming suddenly close to you, and because of its higher vibration impact and higher power, it is going to transform you suddenly. So that is how probably the grace acts. The other methods or the other methodologies what we saw in traditional yoga are also useful, but these are useful only in the initial stage of the sadhana for making your concentration or making the meditation, concentration, bhakti, all these things are useful only for the initial stage. But after that, you have to rely on the other way, what Sri Aurobindo has told, for the supramental yoga or for the yoga of transformation. So something about more on the grace, that the grace acts has its own mysterious way of working. What mind cannot understand, usually it works behind the veil, preparing things, not manifesting, and then it may manifest suddenly even without mind understanding. So this is how the grace acts. It is not calculable or bound by anything that intellect can fix as a condition. However, grace can be awakened by some small aspiration intensity of the psychic being. So it can be awakened. So look at this. The psychic being, intensity of the psychic being or the aspiration or the call is forcing grace to act or awakening it. So divine grace and its power can do everything, but there has to be acceptance from the sadhak. So this is important. So the sadhak should be ready. So when the divine grace comes, he should be ready to accept it. And anytime it comes out, that means you have to be ready all the time, open to receive that grace. So and allow it to work inside you. So after this, we have the explorations in this. So this will go explaining the each aspect of this sunlit path. That is how the concentration works. So I have explained briefly while when we are going through this thing. Okay, so this concentration, aspiration, rejection, faith, how all these things works. That we can understand it from the writings of Sri Aurobindo, and we can also analyze it by our scientific way of understanding, so that we know that how it is working, and that is how we have to prepare ourselves and make ourselves ready to receive all that transformation or the higher force. So this is how all is done. Now we'll move on to the next part, that is the sense of mind and supermind, that how supermind works and what are the senses, because we understand the sense of mind. So we'll first take a look at how the mind works. So mind, we have the four physical senses of sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste, through which we get the signals going to brain, and then we have the mind. So here we explains that in addition to these five senses, mind is sixth sense. So it is an organ of sixth sense. It is a subtle, so it is not visible or it will not hide inside the body. If you if you go inside your body or mind, you will or your brain, you will not find the mind there because it is subtle in nature. The mind also has the another functionality that in addition to the sixth sense, it also works as a channel to carry the signals from the brain. So this is how it is connected with the higher consciousness. So one way it is connected through the nerves to mind, and then another way, another side it is connected to various chakras and receiving the signals from that chakras and taking it for the awareness. Now, this is how it works actually. How our mind or our brain creates the consciousness. What is the puzzling problem for the neuroscientist? So this is very well explained in integral yoga, that how it works. So he explained that this mind also has got the four parts, that is chitta, manas, buddhi, and ahankara, and these are all inside your mind, which is itself is a subtle consciousness. So all the impressions which are generated by the signals received inside your brain, the impressions of that is being transformed on the chitta, which is the passive memory. So it goes from mind, from the brain, those signals are put onto the chitta. How it happens? You can imagine it like it is your RFID access card. You just show your card and then you get the access. Okay, so it works on the principle of the RF communication, which is happening between the two. So similar way, the knowledge or the signals are transformed from this to the chitta. From chitta, it is taken by manas, which acts as a channel now, and it takes into the buddhi. Buddhi analyzes it. At the same time, there is something called ahankara, that is your I concept or the ego, and that also tries to play in the role. It says that yes, like we say that my brain talks something and my heart or my mind says something. Okay, so that is what is the things it's playing about. And final decision is then again transformed back to the brain using the physical mind. So physical mind is the part which is close to your brain, between the mind and the physical brain. So this is how the whole functionality works actually. The manas, which is works here as a channel, also works as a channel or the sense organ, that is a sixth sense, to receive the things from the universal mind. It is connected with the universal mind to get the actual consciousness or actual awareness and the knowledge. So this is the part which gives you actual consciousness or the knowledge of, or the awareness about the whole thing actually. Now, since the channel, this is also actually affected by the disturbances resulting in the things. Like we say that my eyesight has gone bad actually, or my hearing has gone bad. Okay, so then that is what is happening is that the nerves carrying those things, or that organ itself has gone bad actually, or there is a disturbance. So similar way, there is disturbance, or there is a noise that is introduced by this, which is done by the Nadi Shuddhi or the purification of the nerve systems, which is done by the regulating of the prana or the breathing technique. So this is how it helps here. And with the help of the Nadi Shuddhi, you can purify your senses and you can purify your manas and the subtle nadis. The one who has got all the knowledge, it is called the Sukshma Drushti, the one who is able to, who has developed all the facility of this mind. And the other terminology for this in the science is like a telepathy, clairvoyance, or clairaudience. So all these are the actually because of these are the uses of the mind, or these are the actually faculties of the mind which got developed, or few guys get developed, can develop, have developed that. Now we'll move on to the after understanding how my mind works. Let's take a look at that how supramental is going to work. So Sri Aurobindo has explained that how the supermind is going to work, or the supramental senses are going to work. So supramental gives the awareness and knowledge of knowing anything by the supramental senses. So supermind, or this is, we are going to get the supramental knowledge through the supramental sense organs, or the supramental sense actually. So what are those sense that we'll see? So supermind is the realm of subtle consciousness, and the supramental sense doesn't involve any physical organ. So this is important, that there is no physical organ for the sensing, but these are the different things actually. And this is how he has explained that there is a vijnana, there is a samjnana, there is a pragyana, there is a jnana. So these are the methodology, or these are the sense of the supermind through which how we can get these supramental cells. This is how the supermind is going to act once it is established, that it is going to get all these things through this supramental cells, and for that it is going to work on the supramental ether. So this is important. The supramental ether is the medium actually, which is the plastic, solid, strong, and not prone to any decay. So these are the characteristics of the supramental ether, which is the part of that plane. So once it is established here, then through this it can communicate, and then we can get the supramental cell through these senses. So what is this Vijnana? Vijnana is the knowledge by identity. So it is knowing by consciousness. So that is how it is going to know. That is the knowledge by identity. The Samajnana is created by contacting of existence, things, form. So it will work by the contacting. Pragyana is going to work on the objectivity of the things known. So it will work on the stresses on the objectivity. So you have to focus on the objectivity of the things to be known, and then it will understand. Whereas again will work on the, by consciousness will dwell around the things. It will try to know it, try to possess it with its power, and then try to know it. So these are the four ways of how Superman is going to act, and through these senses. So this is the full-blown picture of once you are put, when you are all, and you have faculty of mind also established and the faculty of supermind also established. This is how it is going to work. So we have seen this, that how this is going to happen for you. So supramental sense section is the result of the extension and the vibration of being and consciousness in a supra-ethereal, either of light, either of power, and either of bliss. That is what he explains that how it is going to, the supramental sense are going to work. Now, once it is established, we'll see that vision of supermind or how it is going to help actually. So supermind, once it is established, it is going to transform all your ordinary vision also or ordinary senses also. So you will have the vision which is much, much better and higher. Like supramental vision needs a transformation from the state of the mental purusha to the supramental purusha. That brings with it the complete transformation of all the parts of the nature and all its activity. In transformation, the whole mind first become a passive channel of the supramental activities, the channel of their downflow into the life and body and of the outflow of the communication with the outer material world. This is how we have explained the how it is going to work. So as mind is supramentalized, there is a change and transformation of the instrument of the mind. That is our physical senses like physical sight, hearing and touch. So once the mind is supramentalized, it is going to change all these things also, and you will have the subtle vision or the subtle knowing about the material. So for the preparation of the supramental, we have to prepare actually because it is going to bring in either of the greater being consciousness and sense of life, and we should be able to absorb that. And that is why the readiness is required actually. So, what is this supramental ether? So we have to prepare this for ourselves. It brings an ether of greater being consciousness sense of life, and this is the conscious ether, which is something subtler, real, and more plastic than that of our physical mind and senses. So this is how we experience that this conscious ether is there, which is a supramental ether, and with the help of that, our supramental senses will be developed, and through that our mind will be supramentalized and our other vision, our other senses also will get transformed. So the supramental manifestation is the actual descent of the supramental force into the matter and then working on it with its power to bring the physical and external changes. So this is, we have seen that how it is going to act and how it is going to help us to transform our entire atmosphere or entire material world. And the supramental transformation of the senses, how it is going to help. When the sight becomes altered under the influence of the supramental seeing, the eye gets a new and transfigured vision of things and of the world around us. So it will get a new and transfigured vision. That is what he has explained. With the physical sense, we'll get the ability of the total sense of consciousness within. We can see behind the physical vision. So whatever is there behind the things also will be able to see, and we'll get the relation of the soul of the things seen. So you will get to connect with the soul of the things seen. Like I will be able to connect with you, or you will be able to connect with the person in front of you to his soul and then get to know about it. So that is the power of the supramental vision. Similarly, for the hearing senses, when it goes transformation, all that the ear listens and reveals the totality of the sound body and sound. It will listen complete, hearing the quality and the rhythmic energy, the soul of the sound, and the expression of the one universal spirit. So it is going to listen much beyond what your physical limitation. It will cross that, and then you will go behind that, listening to the actually the vibration of the rhythmic energy behind it. Same way, the touch and the other senses also will go into transformation, and we can get the higher things in your vision. So, secret of evolution, we will go fast now. Okay, so we say, so all this is explained in the evolution secret, the transformation secret, how it is going to happen. All that is explained in this book, and this is available for all of you. So we will go, move to our last topic, that is the descent of this consciousness. That what is it, how it happened, and what is it doing right now. Sri Aurobindo tells us that there are six creations attempted earlier by the divine, but it could not fulfill the requirements and hence destroyed by the pralaya. So that is what he has given, and there were six attempts, and currently we are in the seventh attempt of the supreme divine, which he has again tried, and this time it is going to happen. That is what the assurance given by the supreme, what mother has given told to the disciples, that it is going to happen this time, and that is what we see all around us, that supramental descent has happened and it is affecting now all our material world. We have Puranas, which are the ancient Indian scriptures, and we consider this as a myth or just stories. But these stories are not just a mythology, but those are the important historical event which has happened thousands of years before, after the creation of the universe. So we neglect these things. We do not understand what is it they are trying to tell, because we consider that as unbelievable. So what I am going to tell you about the descent of the consciousness that has happened, not only the supramental descent, but the other descent which has happened before that, which is described in our Puranic stories, and those are the very important, because those are the cosmic event happened in the after the creation. So the first and the foremost important is the churning of the ocean, that is Samudra Manthan, what we know. Then second is the descent of Ganga from heaven, that river has descended from heaven, and the third is the descent of Supermind itself, which has happened in 1956, as we all know. So we'll quickly take a look at these three stories and how this descent of the consciousness has happened after the creation, and how it has established and how it is working. So we all know about the story of the Samudra Manthan, that Deva and Danav come together, do the Samudra Manthan, that is churning of the ocean, and then through that different jewels came out, that is 14 gems, 12 came out, and along with the Amrita. So all this story we know, so we will not go into the detail of the story, and that is all of us know also, and we can go through in the book also, or you can just Google and find it out. Okay, so this story is a very symbolic story. It is not just the story of the churning of any ocean, but it is there is a much bigger significance, and it is a cosmic event which has happened actually. So we'll understand that thing, that how do we do the explorations of in the Samudra Manthan with the help of the integral yoga. So with the integral yoga and with the new perspective, our understanding, we can analyze the symbolic story of how the consciousness itself began to unfold and differentiate into and then manifest in this world. So Kshir Sagar, it is the ocean which is not of the water or the milk, but it is the ocean of the pure consciousness, unmanifest and the eternal, the static aspect of the Satchidananda. And this has to be churn actually, this, so that then there has to be the vibrations which need to come out to act into the world, so that the manifestation can happen. So this is actually the ocean which is having the multiple layers hidden inside, and that need to be separated. And this is what has happened when the churning or the Samudra Manthan. The Mount Meru, the Vasuki, Sarpa, or the Garuda, these are the divine carriers, which are the another aspects of the consciousness, which play the role in the separating and extracting the Shakti, the dynamic power hidden within the stillness needed for the manifestation of the universe. So we all know that the Mahalakshmi, which is gone inside the Kshirsagar, so she came out in this churning, and then she started acting into the universe, establishing the harmony and the beauty. The halal, which is another terrible poison. So this is another kind of vibration. It is a force of destructive and burning consciousness, which started burning as soon as it came out. And then Lord Shiva has to absorb that. He absorbed it. He drank that poison, and then it was resisted by Parvati to his throat only. That is why he is called Nilkanta, getting the blue throat. And so this is actually the another destructive consciousness which came out. Amrut is the nectar of immortality which came out, and it is the supreme consciousness of immortality. the essence that would make the divine manifest in creation, sustainability, eternal, and indestructible. So it was not a just myth, it was the story of actually the creation, it was the blueprint of the creation. That how it explains the hidden forces of consciousness were separated, surfaced, and then set into the motion for the creation of the universe. Now we'll see the second story, that is the descent of Ganga. We know that holy river Ganga is there at which originated from the Gomukh and from the Himalayan glacier, and it then flows towards the Ganga Sagar and meets the Hindi Mahasagar. We all know that it is very sacred. We all worship Ganga, and we need to understand that it destroys all sins and liberates the soul. So it is called Moksha Daini or Papnashini. Now there are mysteries with this river of Ganga, that how it has come actually. Now, how a river can come from the heaven? First of all, that is the question actually. That all the water coming from heaven, we don't know where is that heaven and where it is located also, and how that water can come from all the way from that heaven and get into this Himalayan ranges. Why the Ganga water is so pure and it has got the medicinal property? This is proven by the science also, that they understand that they have seen that practically in the laboratory, that it has got the medicinal property. You know that Ganga water doesn't get spoiled. It remains for the years actually without getting spoiled. No bacteria can survive in that to spoil it. And then it is called as Mokshadaini, or it is destroying of the sins and souls. That is what we worship. And then we celebrate the Kumbha Mahamela also, what happens every 12 years. So all these things are related to that story. Okay. And we do not understand the meaning actually. So we'll try to understand what is it all about and how it happened actually, and what is the significance of that. So the story of Ganga goes like that. It starts from the Vaman avatar, when the King Asura Bali become very powerful, and then Vishnu has to take the Vaman avatar, and in his avatar, when he put his second feet, he expanded his put his second feet, which touches the Brahma Loka, or the, and then with that he acquired that Satya Loka with his second feet, and then came out the water which Brahma collected in his Kamandalu, and then it is called the Ganga, which lateral came to Dhruva Loka and then to Prithvi Loka. So this is the story of Ganga, that how it has originated. Then there is story of the descent of the Ganga. The descent of Ganga, there is story is given in our various places like Ramayana or Mahabharata or in the Puranas, and then we say that it is a myth, or we do not go in the deeper of that. We just understand it as a story, some story as a Puranic story. So this story we know actually, so I am not going to repeat it, but in this actually the King Sagara, who was doing the Ashwamedh Yajna, and then his horse was stolen and by Indra actually, and he hid it in the sage Kapila's ashram, outside ashram, and then his Sagara's son actually thought that Kapil Muni is behind it, and they destroyed his ashram, and also Kapil Muni get angry, and then he burned everything into the ashes. So 60,000 Sagara's sons were killed actually, and for their moksha, Sagara wanted. He worship actually, and then he was told, Narada told that you have to get the Ganga on the earth, so that then this can happen, the moksha can happen. So he started, he couldn't succeed. His son also started, Anshuman, he also didn't succeed. The Dilip also started. So they all did the yoga for the worshipping, but it did ultimately with the Dilip's sons Bhagirath did his sadhana. He pleased Brahma, and Brahma granted the boon. And then Brahma asked him to worship Shiva, because Ganga's force was tremendous that it cannot be borne. So he asked that you should worship Shiva to get it to come out on the earth. So he worshipped Shiva, and the Shiva agreed for that, and that's how Ganga first landed onto Shiva's Jata, and Shiva captured it, and then he slowly released it, which again flew, and then this is the story actually which is there in the Purana, and this story is very symbolic, and we have to go behind that how and what is it all about. With the help of integral yoga, we can understand all these things, that what is the secret of this birth of Ganga, and what is the secret of its purity, and then what is it doing actually. Okay. As we know that Lord Vishnu is the original divine emanation from Satchidananda, and when it expanded in the form, so his consciousness touched the divine supreme consciousness, and with the fusion of these two consciousness, the third stream of consciousness arose. This stream of consciousness is nothing but the Ganga, and that is the reason why Ganga is so pure, because it has come from that pure source of Satchidananda, that is the supreme divine consciousness. And that's how it is in so much pure form and remain in pure form, and doesn't, the Ganga water doesn't get spoiled, even if you keep it after so many years. And that is the reason that why it has got the cleansing properties of, are purifying the karma and releasing the souls. So this is the reason of these that we can understand with the help of the concept of the consciousness and the layers of the consciousness. Now, secret of descent, that we know that it came from the heaven. Now, where is this heaven located actually? We do not know. It is a Brahmaloka, which is said. Now, this Ganga took 7 days to reach Earth. So, you can imagine that what could be the speed of the Ganga, that it is coming from such a large, from this, such a long distance. And with that speed, like we are worried about that when some asteroid is hitting the Earth, whether it will devastate or so you can imagine that how the Ganga's force, if she is coming from such a long distance, is going to destroy the earth. So the Shiva plays the role there, and he started collecting the Ganga, and he collected the Ganga in his consciousness. So how did it is like this: when Ganga arrived, thundering and the tremendous speed and the purity of heaven, Shiva stood immovable. He absorbed the shock of that fall, taming her furious energy within his cosmic hair. So he expanded his consciousness, he collected the consciousness of Ganga, and then he tied it. That is what is told as he tied the knot of his hair. So he collected the consciousness, and then he himself become inconscient. He got it to inconscient. And then that is how he collected the consciousness of Gamba, absorbed that, and then he slowly released after knotting it with his hair. So if you look at this, where this at the glacier of Gangotri, at surrounding Gangotri, there are 4 mountain peaks which are symbolizing these 4 knots of Shiva, that is Shivlinga, Meru, Bhagirath, and Sagar. So this is the inconscient formation of Shiva when he absorbed the Ganga consciousness. So this Ganga consciousness then merged with the Shiva's consciousness is released actually in the form of the water. Now, how this water can happen actually, we all know that water can form with the oxygen and hydrogen when they combine together along with some mysterious thing which we do not know still. But they form the water which is in the liquid form. So same way the Ganga force actually came from the heaven. It came as a force, not as the water. After coming here and after mixing with the Shiva's consciousness, then it got converted into the form of the water, which is released by Shiva, and it is flowing through its path to reach the Ganga Sagar. So this is what is the secret of this entire mystic story, that how the Ganga is originated, how it is received by Shiva, how he is tied in his knot, and then how he made it to flow in the form of the water, and how it is making. And that is the reason that the purity of Ganga is there, and we celebrate all these. We go there for worshipping and taking a dip in the Ganga water. Now we will move to the last part, that is the supramental manifestation, which is the third descent of the supermind. So we will come back to our integral yoga now. Okay, so Sri Aurobindo's sadhana was to bring down the supramental yoga, for which he did the sadhana in his entire life. He got the Krishna consciousness descended on 1926. Later on, Mother saw in 1938 that he was hovering around him, and he too descended in his body in 1950, but it couldn't stay there. So we all are about this. And finally, he has to leave his physical and then went into the subtle, and then from there, both of them tried, and then Sri Aurobindo rooted this supramental consciousness, and mother received it in her, and that's how it has happened. So this is the story of the descent of the supermind, of the supramental consciousness, which happened on 26 February 1956. Now, how it has happened? Now, when Sri Aurobindo realized that it cannot happen, it cannot stay because the physical condition is not ready, so he understood the what has to be done actually. He understood that if there is only possibility to get it into the physical mind. The physical mind, if it receives the light of the supramental, then that instrument can act on the connected part so that it can establish and it can transform the matter. So this physical mind receiving the supramental light, Sri Aurobindo called as the mind of light. And as soon as Sri Aurobindo withdraw from his body, the mind of light got realized in the mother. So mother got this mind of light realized in her body as soon as he withdraw into the physical, from the physical, and then mother's body was ready by the time to receive the transformation, and the mind of light integrated with her physical body, and then mother then integrated this with the earth consciousness. So that is the entire process of how the supramental descent happened and how it has been received by mother, and then she transformed it to the earth consciousness. So how Sri Aurobindo would have achieved this is not known actually, is not written anywhere, but we can now imagine that after physical withdrawal, how he would have done it. He went into a subtle body, he expanded his consciousness in the universe to receive and gather the supramental consciousness. So he merged with the supramental consciousness, his own consciousness, and then he transformed his physical mind to mother. He built a sort of bridge to bring down that super consciousness and transform to the mother's physical body, and through the mind of light, and then mother transformed this to mental and physical. So this is how we can analyze or understand, if at all, how it has happened. In mother words, she has described it in detail actually, that what was the process happen or what has happened at the time. So we can just read that quickly. It was like that when in 1956, the supramental power came down upon earth. It was coming in the torrents of light. So she has explained that it was coming in the torrents of light, wonderful light and force and power. And from the earth, big waves of deep blue inconscience came and swallowed it. So this is how the fusion of the two consciousness happened. The inconscience absorbed all that light. All the force that was coming down was swallowed up, and it is again from the inside the inconscient that it has to work itself through that. That is why the things takes place so much time here. So now that force is absorbed by inconscient, as we know that once it is absorbed, it has to come out, and that is how it is going to come out and it will be manifested here on this. So Mother X has told in her message that Lord, thou hast willed and I execute a new light break upon the earth. A new word is born. The things that were promised has fulfilled. So this is how Mother described the supramental descent, and this is what we see in her agenda, what she explained to the sadhaka. Now what next? We have seen the supramental descent has happened, and it is working. We don't know, nobody has seen probably, okay, that whether it is working or not working. So before that, we'll just conclude these three descents of the consciousness, that what is the meaning of those three descents of what I just now explained. So this descent shows that initially the consciousness was separated by Samudra Manthan, then it was brought down for the purification of the inconscient matter in the form of the Ganga, and thirdly, the supermind itself landed onto the earth for the transformation. So this is how the whole secret of these three descents, which uses the complete view of what has happened in this manifestation. So after this, what next? So how it is working and what are the advantages to humanity, that how it is going to transform the humanity. And so we can observe that in past couple of 40, 50 years, there is a tremendous technological innovations happening in the world. And we have seen the development of computer, mobile phone, satellite, medical, in the film of automotive, satellite technology, and now in the form of the AI and quantum, it is transforming the whole world the way it was working 100 years back and way it is started progressing leaps and bounds in the last 30, 40 years. And more speedily, it is happening now with the development of the other things. So the transformation in the physical matter can also be seen in the physical level, that we observe that in the sports and the dance competition, what we see around, there is a lot of flexibility in the human body has happened, and we wonder that how they can perform those sports or these dances actually or those poses. Okay, so this is nothing but that physical matter is also getting transformed, as Mother has seen and promised that Mother Earth has agreed for collaboration. Now, has anyone seen this or connected with this higher consciousness? That is the question. So, definitely it is there. And there are advanced devotees or this followers of this yoga who has achieved this and who are fulfilling the mission, or the supramental is acting through them. And I am fortunate to know one of such devotee of Sri Aurobindo and this yoga who has done this thing and who is working for this. So So I will just briefly take you through this. So he is the one actually who I am known to, and he is the one who is doing this sadhana, and he is doing the sadhana from past 50 years, and he has been able to connect with the higher consciousness, and he has been working for the transformation of this material world, for removal of the obstructions and the transformation. So, and the purification. So, because during the manifestation, so many things for 10,000 or even much more, what the various forces were actually acting on this in this earth consciousness, they need to be streamlined, they need to be purified because they were obstruction for the supramental. So, the work of that for purification is happening, has happened for the past say 30, 40 years. And that is how this supramental is acting through his consciousness, I can say. He has put all his experiences in this book, which is available. And this is actually in the Marathi. And but maybe in a couple of months, the translation could be available. So this is the one actually it is there, and it is happening. And we know that there are devotees which are fulfilling, or the supreme consciousness or the supramental consciousness is acting through these means or the channels which are ready for this thing. So I am coming to the last now. Without gratitude, this will not. I have to. So this is all the Mother Science Aurobindo inspiration which led to this understanding and putting it in the form of the books. I am also thankful, and my thanks goes to Sri Vinayak, Professor Vinayak Pari, who is my maternal uncle, who introduced me to this yoga, and Sri Mohan Thute, as I just now showed his book and the picture. He is the one yogi who is advanced devotee in this and who is working on this. I am also thankful to my family members, Dr. Dilip, my elder brother, my wife Rajeshri, my daughter Shivani, and my son Krishna, who were encouraging and supporting in this work and helping me in all the way. And my thanks also goes to Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Pondicherry, who helped me by making this available, this material, which is freely available there, and also agreed for my work. And I'm also thankful to this Bangalore Center and Nagpur Center of Sri Aurobindo Society, who are instrumental to take you to all of you. So with that, we come to the end of our session today. And I thank you very much for your patience listening and being with me. So I leave it to you.